When Dire Straits wrote the lyrics Money for Nothing, who knew that they would be talking about liberal friends all these years later? Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Okay, I know we're kind of chuckling at that, but here's the context. Brian, now as it's now been known as the ArriveSCAM app that all of us had to download if we deign to leave the country in and around the time of the dreaded COVID. There seems to be ongoing issues, potentially criminal activity, when it comes to who got contracted for that app. And I say money for nothing because that's what it seems to be.
This is a story that just keeps bubbling up, and there's always a new shock revelation attached to it. Today, it's that 6 of the 8, I think it is, executives who were seconded to that program from Health Canada all got bonuses in the middle of this. Like, the app's not working and you're getting your at-risk pay. It's not really at risk if you're getting it for doing a bad job. But last week, it was 76% of subcontractors hired did no work. And now a report presented to MPs, they read it and immediately stopped asking questions and said, this report is too scary. We can't ask the witness any more questions because we might jeopardize a police investigation or let stuff out of the bag. That was the NDP in the Bloc and the Liberal point of view. The Conservatives wanted to keep going. But Warren, I don't know about you. I've never in my time covering politics seen a committee shut down because the report was too scary to keep reading.
Well,
too scary, Warren.
Yeah, one of the favorite lines we'd have, in government is, Mr. Speaker, this matter is before the courts or the police investigate it, so we can't, and then it's like, sorry, we can't talk about it. So, I mean, it smacked of that kind of an excuse, what they did. But as all of us have been following this Byzantine, bizarre story, it actually looks like the RCMP will be called in if they haven't been already, because this thing was, I mean, it was a disaster as an app. It never really worked. I tried to get it to work when I was traveling to Europe, couldn't get it to work. But, lots of stuff in government doesn't work. That's not front page news. What's front page news here is just the extraordinary amount of money that was thrown at these individuals, at these companies, without no oversight. And so far, I haven't heard about any political people being involved, but I got to tell you, there's some bureaucrats who probably are getting pretty nervous right about now.
Brian, it seems to be the same old story. Contract gets rewarded. Very little work is either done or due diligence done before said contract is awarded. And here we are as taxpayers, all these millions of dollars later, and it was thanks to the Canadian Taxpayers Federation that we found out about the bonuses for the public health agency people that were seconded over. And over the cycle goes. I mean, I've lost count of how many videos and conversations and columns both of you have written about this type of egregious waste. But Canadians sort of think, hey, at what point is there someone going to be held accountable?
Well, I wonder if people just shrug and let it roll off their backs because, as you say, story after story of government waste. This one, we heard a lot with COVID. Well, mistakes were going to be made. We had to move quickly. People's lives were at risk. That's not the case with this one. By the time the government decided to move on this app and get working on it, we had, not had the scenes that we saw out of Italy with emergency rooms being overflowing and bodies piling up. Yeah, that did not happen here. Yeah, there were some bad things that happened, especially in long-term care. But by the time they started working on this app, we kind of had a handle on things a bit. We didn't have to rush it out the door so quickly. And by the way, it went from $80,000, I think was the original budget, to $54 million. At some point, somebody should have been checking in and saying, wait a minute, this seems to be getting out of control. Is it working? Will it work? And they obviously dropped the ball on that. But don't worry, they got their bonuses. It's like the CBC executives. Yeah. They get their bonuses even as they're laying people off.
You know what, Warren, we always sort of joke about this sort of thing, that if you want some sort of app or technology or something to work in terms of that area, just get a bunch of 16 or 17-year-olds, they'll figure it out and they'll make it work cheaply and efficiently, and it might actually function. But that's of course not the case, and it's never is with government. It's big, it's bureaucratic, it's just a behemoth. And the last word to you on this, we saw the bloc, the NDP and the Liberals come together again to prevent any further questioning on this, as we've already mentioned. But is there another avenue whereby the Conservatives, who seem to be the only ones that want to get some answers here, is there another avenue they can use or exercise to try to obtain some accountability?
Yeah, the House of Commons and question period. Like, just because something is in committee does not mean that you cannot also simultaneously question the government about it in the House of Commons. You also have standing order statements, you have standing order questions. There's multiple ways, and also there's just plain old, an FOI request, doing an access to information request, or writing a letter to the minister or to the deputy minister and saying what's going on. So there's multiple ways you can get at it. So I think this stunt that the Liberals and their friends pulled really isn't going to work. In fact, all it does is it makes people like us and the opposition more interested in it and more focused on finding out what the truth is.
What are you trying to hide?
Yeah, like it's just
exactly.
when you look freaked out in government, that's a signal to everybody. It's a red flag. Pay attention to this story. And so here we are talking about it, and we're not the only ones.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Will anyone be held accountable for this ArriveSCAM app? And like this video and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to the TorontoSun.com. You can read commentary there and others that you will not find anywhere else.